Well, first of all, everyone has a little lie-in because that summit went onto the early hours last night. There's a collective breathing of sigh of relief as well here this morning in Brussels that for the moment the no-deal scenario is very much off the table. What we saw last night reached here in Brussels was essentially a compromise because Donald Tusk had hoped that extension would be a little bit longer, because what he doesn't want to see is that come Halloween, come the 31st of October, another emergency summit is taking place in the building behind me to offer the UK another extension. And that's why we saw Meabh McMahon, the French president, putting his foot down last night and irritating German officials, we believe, because he wanted to give a short extension, because he did not want to see the UK overshadow other affairs and stop the EU from integrating even more. And he wasn't alone. The Belgian Prime Minister Charles Michel, he also said yesterday that he believed that the UK was holding the EU hostage sometimes. And also the Austrian Chancellor Sebastian Kurz, he was also feeling a little bit like Emmanuel Macron last night. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
It's true, our Austrian position was closer to the French position on this question. But it wasn't about being tough or strict, it was simply a question of how long the deadline should be extended. We were of the opinion that an extension on the short side makes sense, so we don't drag the whole Brexit debate into infinity.
And EU leaders also made it very clear last night that the withdrawal agreement, that 580-page document, will not be reopened. But the political declaration, well, there's room for manoeuvre there. But all eyes, of course, once again on the United Kingdom.
How important is it for the EU 27 that they've managed to keep that unified front against the UK in the negotiations?
Well, Donald Tusk, he's been travelling to all the EU member states in the last couple of days, or picking up the phone to call various heads of state, because unity is the word of the day. He said from day one he's been trying to preserve it. It's pretty difficult when you've got 27 people around the table, all with completely different interests, looking out for their countries and, of course, for their voters. Each country wants the EU to take a different direction, and of course each country wanted to see the United Kingdom be dealt with a little bit differently. Ireland, for example, was being the most patient in the room, because for Ireland a no-deal scenario would have been catastrophic. So Leo Varadkar last night said he was very, very relieved that the 12th of April is no longer on the table, and that now there's a new deadline. That is, of course, the 31st of October, Halloween night. There's lots of jokes going around here about that date, because many feel that nothing has really changed. It's just extend and pretend, and the situation still really exists, and that is that the UK is still very much disunited and unsure about what Brexit means and what will happen next. And all eyes here on the situation there to see, do the House of Commons back that withdrawal agreement? Do they do it before those elections take place? Will they have to participate in those elections? We do not know. All open questions that will have to be answered in the next while. But one thing is sure, there's a couple of people pretty frustrated here in Brussels, because they feel that their timeline, their roadmap for Europe and European integration for the next year or so has been scuppered by Brexit. We saw a tired Jean-Claude Juncker, Commission President, last night say Brexit, Brexit, Brexit. It's all over the headlines. It's all you, the press, talk about. Now, he's leaving office on the 2nd of November. Donald Tusk, the head of the institution behind me, is leaving office on the 30th of November. So that's why we saw last night that 31st of October date being circled in to the EU diary.